Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Friday. I hope the end of the week is going well wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. Thank you as always for joining me. We are very nearly at the weekend. We are nearly at the halfway point of the final international break of 2025. It was a good start from an Arsenal point of view to the international break last night. Eberechi, Eze and Bukayo, Saka both scoring the goals as England win 2-0. Declan Rice playing, William Saliba playing, Pierre Hincapié playing, and no injuries. The most important thing. Although there was a little bit of a scare with Bukayo Saka during the England game, a little bit of a scare, but after a few minutes, I think we all realised it wasn't an injury that he was sort of signalling to the bench about. It was a change of boots, much to the relief of all the Arsenal fans around the world. So we will round up all last night's international action in today's show. We've got a few other bits and pieces to talk about. I've got some questions and comments from you guys, as always. Gabriel Jesus, we'll talk about him. Declan Rice is up for the Puskas award with his free kick against Real Madrid, his second free kick against Real Madrid. So plenty to get stuck into, but we'll start at Wembley on what was a really, really good night for England, for Bukayo Saka and Eberechi Eze. But my word, that pass from Phil Foden, wow. Moment of the match, that moment of the match. Well, it was, according to ITV anyway, because it was all they talked about at the end of the game. About a 4 or 5 yard pass from Phil Foden somehow became the talking point, the post-match talking point of the game, if you're watching the match in England last night, rather than Eze curling a shot into the top corner from 20 yards with his first touch, on a first touch. No, it was all about Phil Foden's 4 or 5 yard bobbling pass to Eberechi Eze, according to ITV. Whatever. But no, it's a brilliant, brilliant game for England, for Arsenal. Bukayo Saka opened a scoring, lovely, lovely finish from Saka. Curled it on the volley, placed it into the far corner. Really, really good. And then Eze came off the bench in the second half and scored. Yeah, it was a brilliant finish for Eze. It really was. I joke about the whole Foden thing. If you're watching in England, you'll know what I'm talking about. It was like seriously mad. It's like, I love Phil Foden. I think he's a wonderful player, brilliant player, and I want him playing well for England. But it was so weird that everything was about his part. It was so forced. It was like ITV had just created this narrative of, if Foden comes on, we are going to talk about him, whatever he does, and make it really, really good. And, it was a normal assist. It was a good run. Brilliant. Good from Bellingham to find Foden. Good run from Foden. He picked the pass that you would absolutely expect him to pick. It was almost a little bit behind Eze as well, and it bobbled a bit. But the finish with Eze was fantastic. And somehow no one talked about it after the game. It was like really, really weird. But it's no biggie. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, brilliant for Arsenal point of view. Great from Eze. It was a good cameo from Eze off the left-hand side as well, coming on in that position that I was talking about in the last couple of days, that when Odegaard gets back fit and we see Eze potentially playing in that role, which I certainly think suits him better. He was very, very lively when he came on yesterday. Another player of the match award for Bukayo Saka. It's 14 goals now he scored for England. Scoring, I think he scored a fair few recently. I mean, Thomas Tuchel was talking, not before this camp, it was a camp before. It was after he scored the goal against Scotland, wasn't it? Thomas Tuchel said, I want to see Saka scoring more goals. I mean, he's got a very good record for England. If it's not Harry Kane scoring, it's Bukayo Saka, basically. He's England's second top scorer in that squad, I would say, off the top of my head, without checking it out. But it was a lovely finish for him. And he's just finding some form now. When you look at his last few numbers for England and for Arsenal, it's been a difficult start to the season because of the injury. I still don't think he's at his best yet. I think there's an extra yard of pace to come from Bukayo Saka as well. But to see him doing that for England, to contributing to scoring a goal like that, and he's been scoring for Arsenal recently, it's good signs. I think, like I said, there was a little bit of an injury scare in that first half. We all sort of held our breaths as the camera zoomed in on him and he did the sort of that sign. And we're like, he's injured. Why is he not taking him off? Why is he still on the pitch? So 2 minutes later, and then suddenly the new pair of boots come out and we realised he wasn't injured. It was just that he was asking for a change of boots and he put that on. And he was interviewed after the game and asked about that and sort of confirmed absolutely that it wasn't an injury. It was a change of boots. So yeah, all in all, a good day for England and a good day for the Arsenal players. Declan Rice played about 70 minutes in midfield before going off. Saka did play the full game, so I hope he's not anywhere near the starting 11 on Sunday for England. He shouldn't be. We'll wait and see what Tuchel does. But yeah, he did play the full game. Declan Rice going off, on I think it's about 70 minutes, something like that. A few of you getting in touch on the Discord talking about it. There's been a lot of talk on the Discord about the Phil Foden stuff, as you can imagine. Charlie got in touch. Says, hi, Charles. Still in shock from what we've just seen. Where would you rank that Foden assist in football history? Incredible. The official England account on Twitter described it for the goal graphic that they did when Eze scored was And after it was Phil Foden puts it on a plate for Eze. He was 20 yards out and he curled it in the top corner first time. The XG was 0.03. The XG for that chance for Eze. He scored it. And the official England account is even joining in on the Foden propaganda of puts it on a play. It was so odd. It's so odd. Hager again has agreed. Said, "What a pass from Foden. Do you think Kane's place in the team is under threat?" I don't think so. Also, do you think Eze looked good on the left? It might just be the quality of Foden's pass, but I thought Eze looked better than in the Odegaard position. I mean, he does. I mean, it's his position. That is his best position. There's no doubt about it. It's where he's been so successful playing for Crystal Palace. Is where he played that convinced Arsenal to spend all that money to sign him. He's been doing a good job, in my view, while Odegaard's been out, playing a very different role to what he's used to, and he's a very different sort of player to Odegaard in that position. You know, Odegaard's such a high touch player in that position, always on the ball, coming deep, getting it. You know, he's always on it. He'll finish a game. Even if he has a bad game, he finishes with 80, 90, 100 touches of the ball. Martin Odegaard. Eze's, it just feels like a less touch player in that position. You know, he's a moments player. He steps up, he scores goals, he scored against Crystal Palace, played his part in the goal in Bukayo Saka's equaliser against Sunderland with really nice pass into Mikel Merino. But I just, you know, there's no doubt in my mind that he's better served more on the left side of the pitch than he is on the right side of the pitch. He's been doing a decent job in Odegaard's absence, but I'm really looking forward to seeing once Odegaard is back exactly how Mikel uses Eze and what he's like over on that left-hand side, given kind of like the Trossard position. And it's difficult for him because Trossard's playing so well, and I think it'd be harsh if you suddenly drop Trossard, given the role he's been playing. But when you look at the role that Trossard has on that pitch and where he can come sort of centrally positions, like he scored the goal against Sunderland, but he can go out on the left as well. It just feels that's tailor-made for Eze, and we certainly saw it yesterday. It was a very, very good, bright cameo from him. One from Femi here. He says, "It was nice to see you and Clive on TalkSport with both your level-headed analysis as always." Yeah, thank you very much. It was fun joining Clive for the Inside Gooners podcast on TalkSport yesterday. If you haven't seen that, you'll find out on the TalkSport YouTube channel. Great evening for the Arsenal England boys. I hope Tuchel rests them for the next game. Did you, like me, also have your heart in your mouth when Bukayo seemed to be signalling to the bench to be changed yesterday? Turned out to be a change of boots. Yes, I did. We all had our hearts in our mouths. I really just want Saka and others to win big trophies this season so people can put more respect on their names. That's the only thing missing to really cement them as greats, even in the eyes of rival fans. You know, I don't care how they're viewed in the eyes of rival fans. I agree, you know, if they are going to go down as absolute greats, it is going to be because of trophies, because that's ultimately how, at the very, very top level, that's how your career is measured. You can have a fantastic career without winning medals, without winning trophies, but if you do get that, it just takes you to the higher sort of echelons of the success. But I don't care in terms of rival fans. I think it's more in terms of how we view them. But I also think when you're talking about respect on the names, again, that sort of takes me back to, although I'm joking about it, the fact that somehow yesterday it was all made about Phil Foden rather than Eze or Saka. I just found it really, really odd. But yeah, in terms of rival fans, I don't really care how they're viewed, to be honest. Elsewhere on the internationals, William Saliba, congratulations to him. Congratulations to France. If you're watching from France, well done. You've qualified for the World Cup, of course. Convincing win yesterday in the end against Ukraine, I think it was, wasn't it? To qualify for the USA. Saliba started that game. Didn't have overly too much to do by all accounts, sort of reading into it. I think Mbappe scored a couple more goals for France yesterday. So comfortable win for them. Pierre Hincapié also involved. They were playing Ecuador, playing Canada away from home. It was a 0-0 draw. Hincapié was captain for Ecuador, played the full game, got a yellow card, and it was 0-0. I think tonight, the only international player we're going to have in action tonight, I think, is Jurien Timber for the Netherlands. I think they can qualify for the World Cup as well tonight. So yeah, good luck to him. There was a very, very special night for Norway. They're still not quite there. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the picture of Martin Odegaard front and centre of the celebrations. Yesterday, they beat Estonia, I think it was 4-0, to all but guarantee themselves a spot at the World Cup. Odegaard's obviously been over there. He's continuing his rehab and his recovery over there. He's not there on a holiday. He has gone over and he's working with the fitness and the medical staff, following the routine that he's been having to do at Arsenal. But obviously, he wanted to go over and see Norway have a historic night. And they're not quite there yesterday. It looked like they would be, but Italy got 2 late goals to beat. I think it was Andorra 2-0, scored in the 88th minute and 89th minute, something like that. If they had dropped points there, then Norway would have been guaranteed a spot. They are guaranteed pretty much anyway. Basically, Norway play Italy in midweek, and Italy need to win that by 9 goals for Norway not to qualify for the World Cup. But it was quite promising seeing Odegaard. You saw him we saw the video in the last international break when he was kind of sitting on the bench in the changing room, joining in the celebrations, couldn't really stand up or anything like that. It was very different yesterday. He was in the middle of the celebrations. He was jumping around. And obviously you can see him on the pitch there watching the game. So he's obviously progressing quite well when it comes to this knee injury. And fingers crossed we'll see if he's going to be close to a return against Tottenham after the international break. I would suggest probably not, but you never know. We'll have to wait and see on that. But congratulations to Norway. Almost there. Now, okay, let's quickly talk about Gabriel Jesus. He's given an interview in Brazil about all the rumours about his future and a possible move to Palmeiras. We've heard about Palmeiras, very publicly, openly saying they want to sign Gabriel Jesus and bring him back to the club. Jesus has been on record before saying he would like to go back to Palmeiras at some point before his career ends. And there's been lots of talk about now he's fit or getting close to fitness. Are Arsenal going to move him on in January? Is he going to go somewhere else? I've had my view on that. I don't think they should even entertain that. I think you definitely keep him till the end of the season because I think he could be very useful when it comes to hopefully winning some trophies for Arsenal. But he has again in this interview seemingly ruled out the possibility of a January move away from Arsenal. He says, coming back from such a complex surgery, it doesn't make sense for me to leave Arsenal now. I've never had contact with another club, and my desire, as I say, is to return to Palmeiras, and Palmeiras' desire is for me to return to Palmeiras. When I feel it's time to return there, I'll decide that with Arsenal, but we're talking about a player who's been out for 9 months and is now fighting to get back into the team. And there are journalists who are just talking without any basis whatsoever. So fairly firm comments there from Gabriel Jesus in terms of his future and what his plans are for the second half of the season. No suggestion there from him of a move. And I think he's right when he's talking about it. Look, it's been a complex surgery. He's been out for 9 months. As much as I don't want him to go in January, because I still think he's got a part to play in the second half of the season, I also think for a club looking to sign him, if you're going to sign him in January, you're going to have to pay him very big wages. Would you do that with absolutely no sort of sample size of what he's been like in the last 9 months, not knowing if that is absolutely over that knee injury? It wouldn't make much sense to me from a buying club or a loaning club point of view. You'd want to see him play sort of 3-4 months to see how the knee holds up. So I don't see it. I just don't see it. And I know a lot of people keep saying, "Oh, move him on, sell him." I just don't think it's as easy as that. It's really not. And like I said, I don't want him to go. Anyway, so that's the latest from Gabriel Jesus about his future. Puskas Awards. If you're watching YouTube, you can see the list there of the nominees for the Puskas Award, including a certain Declan Rice for that second free kick against Real Madrid. Other names in there, sort of notable names from around the world. Obviously, you've got Lamine Yamal there, Espanyol versus Barcelona in May, and there's lots of other goals as well. So wait and see. I can't imagine Rice's free kick is going to get it. But you never know. It's good for him to even be up for that award. What a moment that was. What a moment it was. Still pains me that I wasn't in the stadium to see it. Still does. I think it always will, but it's still an absolutely fantastic moment. It'd be great if he could win it, but we shall wait and see. But congratulations anyway to Declan Rice for the nominee. Right, a couple of questions and comments now before we wrap this one up for today. Nostradamus has got in touch. Says, "Hi, Charles. What do you make of the rumours linking us to Wilfred Singo? Ben White has been a great addition, playing over 160 games for us in all comps, but could be looking to play more minutes elsewhere if an offer surfaces. Given his recurring knee injuries, it could be best for both parties. And at 28 years of age, it's a good time to get some sort of value for him as well. Or will Benny Blanco stay as a substitute for the majority of the season, waiting to reclaim his place? Given the time in doing so, I don't think there's any chance Ben White goes in January. I would be mad. I mean, Arsenal could not. You can't be getting rid of Ben White in January. It'd be mad. It would be mad in my view if you did it for Gabriel Jesus, but it'd be absolutely crazy if you did it for Ben White. I know at the moment he's not playing much. I did think it was kind of odd that he wasn't involved in the Prague game before the international break. But as I've said on this channel before, I do just wonder if they're absolutely building him up, and just making sure when they do bring him back into proper contention for real regular minutes, it is that, you know, he is ready and he will be able to hold up to it, and there'll be no breakdown of this injury that he's been struggling with so long now. As I said, that Burnley game, after the game, it was just very strange when I was basically the only person left in the press box, watching him on his own, no one else around apart from one fitness coach, doing a really intense session on the pitch before they got back on the coach. You normally see everyone involved in it, all the subs doing a warm down, everything like that. It was just him on his own, and I was like, I've not seen that before. And maybe it was they're following some really sort of structured routine at the moment when it comes to Ben White, just to make sure that when he does come back, he would be fully fit. I mean, I saw the link with Singo. I mean, he's only just moved to Galatasaray for a load of money in the summer, hasn't he, from Monaco? So I don't see it. I don't see it. It's I'd be very, very surprised if there's anything in that. And I think Arsenal, I think Ben White will get plenty of minutes in the second half of the season. That's my thoughts on that. Thank you very much, Nostradamus, for getting in touch. We've got here one from Love Henry, who says, a question on the women's side. Is Berta responsible for the overall direction similar to the men's? I think the women's side has sealed incredible heights, but we need to redefine the integral players' roles and be ruthless with a rebuild. The fact that the women can sell out matches at the Emirates, probably something that Berta and management consider during the season. The priority obviously should be the men's first team in the academy, but I feel the women's side needs a fresh perspective. I mean, Edu was very heavily involved in the men's side, but Berta's job since he's come in, has been very different, and is very much focused on the men's senior side, not the academy, not the women's team. Claire Wheatley's absolutely in charge with the women's side. So yeah, it's not really Berta's remit. It's very much the women's side have kind of gone back to Claire Wheatley's control. Not Andre Berta. His sole focus is on the Premier League. Richard Garlick's heavily involved in the women's side as well. So a lot of the executives are very much focused on it. But Berta, his role is very much the men's team that was introduced when he was brought in for the job. But I agree. I think they're going to certainly have to look at it, because the Champions League was such a monumental achievement for Arsenal. Obviously, certainly last season in the WSL, and sort of looking at this season's start to life in the WSL as well, is pretty underwhelming from an Arsenal point of view. And given the investment, given the size of the crowds who are in the Emirates week in, week out, Arsenal should be probably doing a little bit more and challenging Chelsea a little bit more closely when it comes to WSL and domestic matters. So it wouldn't surprise me if there is a bit of a root and branch review going on, or certainly will go on at some point soon. And that is it from me today, everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Appreciate it. As always, enjoy the end of your working week. Enjoy your Friday as we head into the weekend. I'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again. See you later. Bye-bye.